All right, that's it for the ads. Okay, Laura, come on up. Let's give Laura, this is like literally transpired like 2 minutes ago, so she wasn't even expected to be on stage tonight, so you guys be nice, okay?
Hi. If I can get some help from you, for some reason this isn't working. Give me 2 seconds for tech issues. Okay.
Always tech issues. Damn, tech events.
Is it coming up now?
Yes.
All right. Okay, well, so nice to see you all. And thanks for having me here very last minute. And the talk that we're going to have in 5 minutes is Please Don't Have a Seat. And just as Miles just introduced, my name is Laura Putnam. I am the CEO of Motion Infusion. And our goal, our mission in life is to get people like you in motion. These are some of the companies and organizations that we have worked with. And just as Miles just mentioned, I am the author of Workplace Wellness That Works. So we're going to start off with some trivia. Here we go. Who's likely to live longer? Our option A here, and anybody know who this is, by the way? Keith Hernandez, right? So who's likely to live longer, our smoking athlete or our non-smoking sitter, according to recent research? A is exactly right. There's new research that's come out showing that the benefits of getting physically active outweigh the benefits of quitting smoking when it comes to longevity. Here's another question. What's the first thing that we're learning in school before we learn our ABCs or before we learn to read and write? Yes, sit and be still. And the problem is all of us are doing this way too well. So for years, your teachers have been telling you to sit and be still. You can stop now. What's the first thing that we say when somebody comes into our home or into our office? Have a seat. What's head of the board called? Yes, what was Archie Bunker's prized possession? His chair, absolutely. And what did the British instruct when they were busy taking over the world? They taught people to sit in chairs because they thought it was uncivilized to not sit in chairs. So what the reality is for all of us is that we love our chairs. Everything about our culture revolves around our chairs. It's in our language. It's what we consider to be civilized. The problem is that we are biologically programmed to move. So in effect, we have created a massive disconnect between what we are culturally mandated to do versus what we are biologically programmed to do. And so the net result of this, as a result of all of these so-called labor-saving devices, which effectively represent a lost opportunity to move, is that all of us are sitting way too much. And what the research is showing, as I'm sure you all have seen, is that sitting is called now what? The new smoking. So what can we do about it? What I often hear people say is, I'd love to be more physically active, but I don't have time. But I am here to tell you that you do have time if you keep in mind two very simple concepts. Eat and Neet. So EAT stands for exercise activity thermogenesis. This is an intentional workout versus NEAT, which stands for non-exercise activity thermogenesis. And what the research is showing is that it's our NEAT levels, or our incidental movement throughout the day, that is what's plummeted. And we always have time to engage in NEAT activities. So this is what we've come to associate with exercise in America, have we not? But these are the kinds of things that we need to be doing much more of. These are the NEAT activities. Things like taking the stairs whenever possible, having walking meetings, doing household chores, standing up every time we take a phone call, playing with our kids more often, taking our dogs for a walk, or even drinking lots of water so that we have to get up and use the restroom more often. So the question for each of us to consider, and for each of you to consider, is how are you going to, little by little, start doing more of a little, a lot? Now, we might look at this as an issue of personal responsibility. But let's take a bigger picture look at this. And I'm going to take you back to a time when smoking was a way of life. Do you all not remember this? And we are reminded of this with Mad Men. And then what happened in 1964? The Surgeon General came out with the warning about the dangers of smoking. And so then we had the health advocates coming out with all of these public awareness campaigns using fear tactics, and then using the ick factor, or even using humor to get people to stop smoking. But here's what made the difference. We made it harder to smoke, especially at work. And that's what made the difference. We have, as a nation, cut our smoking rates in half. So imagine if every chair came with a warning label. So this is the Motion Infuser's warning label. Getting out of your seat may cause happiness, great ideas, higher productivity, and a general sense of well-being. Imagine if it was that much easier to take the active route to work. Imagine if we created special sitting sections. And finally, imagine if we banned office chairs. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Laura. So just out of fairness, if you guys have a couple of questions for Laura, why don't we let them rip? So raise your hands up high if you have a question or two about your office situation, maybe.
Yes.
I also know that we have like standing desks. Is it also bad to be standing in one place for a very long time versus sitting?
So what I tell people when they ask that question is that the best position is the next position. So whatever it is, whether it's standing, lying down, sitting down, squatting, whatever it is, just keep changing it up over the course of the day. But what the research shows is actually, even though sitting feels like it's more comfortable, it's actually putting twice as much pressure on our spines than when we're standing. And when we're standing, we're keeping our large muscle groups activated still. And what the research is showing is that within a span of just as short as a couple of hours, the research is now showing that too much sitting may be as little as 3 hours a day, if you can believe it. And there are cellular changes that happen within a couple of hours. So the more standing, the better.
What about people that drive for a living? Is there an answer for them?
People who drive for a living,
Let's just say.
you're totally fucked. No. You know, I don't have a good answer for that, except to say that, yes, there's some exercises that you can do in your car, but I think that this is a classic example of the cultural biological mismatch. We are, in this day and age, we are culturally mandated to be sitting a lot, whether it's in our cars. I speak all around the country and also internationally, so I'm doing a lot of flying. And so I'm culturally mandated to sit. And you know, if you're one of those freaks in a plane where you're constantly standing up and moving, people look at you like you're a freak. So it's really, we can look at this as an issue of personal responsibility, or we can start to look at this more as a cultural issue. How can we shift our culture? How can we start optimizing our environments so it's easier to not be sitting so much and easier to be moving more?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
It's going to be her right here.
Sorry, I'm cutting you off, Nick. I'm curious how that relates to sleep positions, and if you have theories about that, because I know, so many people. I just helped a friend move into a new apartment, and he was thinking, oh, I'll spend $200 on a mattress, and I went, that's where you spend most of your day. According to your theory, what's your kind of thought process?
Around selecting a mattress?
What's the best sleep position?
What's the best sleep position?
Lying
well,
down.
I'm not a sleep expert, but I can tell you that we as a nation are chronically sleep deprived. And I can also tell you that when we're active, we sleep a lot better. So yes, it's a really good investment to buy a good mattress. I've heard that sleeping in your side is much better. I love to sleep on my belly, but apparently that's really bad for your neck. Sleeping on your side, there you go. Sleeping on your side apparently is the best way to be sleeping. Yeah, you're welcome.
All right. Anybody else have a question for Laura? I have a question. Where is your book available?
It is, thank you for asking, Miles. It's available on Amazon. It's available through the publisher, Wiley. It's available at Barnes & Noble. If any of you were in New York a couple of weeks ago, Barnes & Noble actually ran a display of it on its in its Fifth Avenue window, in its Barnes and Noble location there. So it's available through all the major distributors. It is called, thank you for asking, Workplace Wellness That Works, as opposed to Workplace Wellness That Does Not Work. And I don't know how many of you have workplace wellness programs at your work site? Anybody? Okay. Is it working? Yes? Because most of them aren't. Okay, then you're lucky. The research is pretty astounding on that. The research is showing that on average, less than 20% of eligible employees are actually taking advantage of workplace wellness programs, so we've got a long ways to go. So this is a book that outlines what's the problems with our current approach and how might we do it differently. Okay.
All right. Laura, thank you so much
You're
for sharing.
welcome.
I think that's great.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
That's